Ever since my wife's company hired a new male secretary, she started telling me I'm old. Every night, she forces me to drink a bowl of tonic soup, saying it will reignite my vigor and make me feel 18 again overnight. I was reluctant, but thinking it might win back her heart, I went along with it. Unexpectedly, after drinking it, I fell into a deep sleep. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a strange room. Just as I wanted to call out to my wife, I heard the laughter of an unfamiliar woman outside. "Xiao Li, your husband looks good and is great in bed too. That body is just amazing. TSK TSK. I've been waiting in line for a week. When will it be my turn?" My wife replied with a flattering smile, "As long as you ladies invest in my little secretary, I'll arrange it immediately. I'll pay 1 million to have him wear tight leather pants. I'll pay 3 million to have him wear a metal dog collar." Listening to their escalating bids, my heart turned numb. I dialed an old forgotten phone number, the one for that paralyzed heiress you all insisted I marry. I married her. After hanging up, tears kept streaming down my face. If it weren't for this time's adverse reaction waking me up early, I might never have known my wife was actually planning to sell me to other women. I bit my tongue hard. The metallic, bloody taste spread in my mouth, and the sharp pain helped me regain some consciousness. Outside, I heard a satisfied woman's lazy whisper, "This service really pleased me this time. By the way, your wife is very generous, letting us have such a top-notch guy to play with." Another woman chuckled, "Ever since sleeping with him, my spirits have lifted a lot. I feel much younger." "Xiao Li, when will you arrange the next session?" My wife smiled and said, "As long as the ladies are happy, that's good. Just don't forget to invest a lot in our Ruyan." Ruyan, that was the male secretary's name. I should have guessed earlier. I'd been married to my wife for 5 years, and our relationship was good. But ever since Ruyan came, everything changed. He would act cute, cling to my wife, calling her pretty sister every chance he got. I couldn't stand him from the start, always sticking to my wife, even sleeping in our marital bed. I warned him many times, but he never listened. My wife spoiled him more, always smiling and smoothing things over, saying he'd never slept on such a nice bed before and was just curious, promising he'd be more careful. But behind those words, she pampered him endlessly, buying him luxury goods, saying he needed to dress up since he was young. She never let him work. Clocking in was like a game to him. He was treated like royalty with the best food and drinks. Many employees watched this, and many resented it. If things continued, the company would surely go under. Because of this, my wife and I argued many times. After the last big fight, I laid everything on the table. "It's either me or him here." Only then did my wife compromise, promising to send him away and reconcile with me. I thought that would be the end, but then this happened. She secretly used her own money to start a company for him and pulled in sponsors. After the losses, she pushed me aside and used my body to make money. The wealthy women whispered, "He hasn't been performing well recently. Maybe he's losing it." My wife hurriedly explained, "No way. He had a strong foundation when he was young. He can go to heaven and back. Ladies, give me 10 minutes. After leaving, she called the doctor, asking for adrenaline to keep me energized, double the dose. The doctor hesitated, knowing from previous reports that my kidney function was poor, and pushing it could be life-threatening. She hesitated too, but when her male secretary called, tearfully pleading for funds, she made up her mind and approved the injection. At that moment, I felt all my years of effort were a joke. I knew if that needle went in, my body would collapse. I struggled to move but couldn't muster any strength. The doctor noticed my trembling eyelids and warned that if I woke halfway, it would not only ruin the drug's effect but could cause shock. But my wife confidently assured him, "It's fine. I already gave him some medicine with sedatives. He won't wake up." I remembered the morning she brought me a bowl of white fungus soup, saying it was nourishing. I never liked sweet, cloying things, but since we had just reconciled, I didn't want to offend her kindness and drank it all. I never imagined she was scheming against me. I bit my tongue again, The sharp pain cleared my head somewhat. I moved a little finger. The doctor hesitated, feeling sorry. He seems to have some awareness. Maybe we should stop. She's been so good to you. I remember when you were sick, he stayed up nights for you. He risked his life for you. Can you really bear to do this? My wife was silent for a long time before finally saying, I'll remember his kindness forever. But now, there's nothing I can do. Ruyan needs a lot of money, and it's his dream. I have to support him. My heart froze completely. In her eyes, my life and death mattered less than a dream. As the needle pushed in, my breathing suddenly quickened. It felt as if an invisible hand was strangling my throat. I wanted to scream but could only let out painful sobs. The doctor was surprised. Did he wake up? My wife was stunned for a moment. I tried to move my fingers to hold her palm, our little gesture when we were in love, holding hands and promising to be together forever. Those were our best times. If she still remembered, she wouldn't have abandoned me. But when I heard the rich woman outside urging my wife, she hesitated briefly and then harshly shook off my hand. Before leaving, I heard her say to the doctor, give him some amnesia drugs, like before. Only then did I realize why I'd had frequent headaches lately with no clear cause. She had been drugging me secretly. I clutched my hands tightly as tears kept falling. 5 years of love, all worthless compared to a newcomer. I slowly opened my eyes and used my last strength to say to the woman before me, take me away. The rich woman sighed softly. Back then you refused to marry me, chasing true love. So how did you end up like this? When you called me, I didn't believe it. Do you know? Everyone in our circle says you're just someone to be played with if you pay. I listened silently, my heart torn apart. My breathing grew rapid. I couldn't even make a sound. I knew I must look terrifying right now. Han Ruoshue was so scared she rushed me to the hospital. The hospital exam was more shocking than I imagined. My body was completely drained. The doctor said if I had come later, it could have been life-threatening. They gave me the best medicine and treatment. After a night of struggle, my life was finally saved. At midnight, unable to lie in bed, I went out for some fresh air. Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure, my wife accompanying her male secretary for a checkup. She was holding his arm affectionately, leaning into his chest, speaking shyly like a young girl. Oh dear, I worried after we overdid it yesterday, so I brought you for a check. Sister, luckily you know, slow and steady wins the race. My wife pinched his cheek. You're so delicious. How can I resist? My eyes stung sharply. Many people advised me, my wife is a female CEO, and it's normal for women like her to have several lovers. As her devoted husband, as long as I don't cause trouble, I'd keep my place beside her. I don't want to hear any of that. I want nothing but her. But what happened? She gave me away to that male secretary and let other women have me. Han Ruoshue showed me the rumors spreading like wildfire in our circle. While I was unconscious, those women did many disgusting things to me. They even made me pose in humiliating ways and filmed it. My wife only pretended to complain. Sis, he's still my husband. Don't play with him like that. Then happily accepted compensation from the rich women. Now she even transferred that money to the male secretary, telling him to spend it however he wants. What if this investment fails again? No problem. My husband's here. The secretary chuckled. You're so bad, don't you feel a little sorry? My wife stood on tiptoe to kiss him. I feel more sorry for you. My chest ached in waves. Finally, I realized one thing. She no longer loves me. I picked up the phone. Let's have the wedding as you said. How about 3 days later? Okay, 3 days. That's enough. I was discharged and returned home briefly. As soon as I got back, Li Mui frowned at me. You're filthy. Go wash up quickly. Really? Knowing I was dirty, she still made me go. Knowing the wealthy women were twisted inside, drugging me over and over, and letting them do whatever they wanted. She turned around and brought me a bowl of white fungus soup. Drink this, it's nourishing and good for your body. She forced a smile, trying to seem gentle, but I already knew what was really going on. I didn't want to drink it. She insisted repeatedly, even sternly. How can you refuse? It's my sincere care. Realizing she was too harsh, she softened. You're not well. I'm worried. We promised to be together forever. Her eyes were like before. I almost believed her. But then her phone buzzed. Her expression changed slightly. She had company matters to deal with and went to her study. I followed. I saw her holding her phone, typing, occasionally showing the smile of a girl in love. So blinding. I expressionlessly handed her a contract to sign. This is company business. You need to review it. Without even looking up, she quickly signed her name and went back to texting flirtatiously with her male secretary. What she didn't know was that the contract contained a divorce agreement hidden inside. She signed it swiftly and stood up. I have some things to do. I'll be out for a bit. A bitter smile appeared on my lips. She said it was company business, but I already knew where she was going, to see that male secretary again. That was her usual excuse. We'd argued many times about it, but she wouldn't even bother to come up with another reason. In her eyes, I was just a live-in son-in-law who depended on her for everything. Just like she told the doctor. So what if he found out? Can he really leave me? If he leaves, he's just a divorced man. How could he find another rich woman like me? You're a man, talk to him. Some things are better left unspoken. For all the years he's been with me, I won't treat him badly. That's why she was so shamelessly bringing the male secretary right under my nose. We fought, argued, and I made a scene many times. But now, I've completely let go. I said, all right, go. Don't worry. She pinched my cheek, gave a perfunctory kiss, then opened the cabinet and took a few beauty pills. Since meeting that male secretary, she'd been obsessed with staying young, frequently going to beauty salons, taking all sorts of strange health supplements. Anything related to beauty, she'd try without hesitation, even injections of unknown substances at small clinics. Maybe before, I would have tried to stop her, but now I didn't. Only reminded her, for all these years, to take fewer pills. She smiled dismissively. Got it. You should rest early. I said, I can't sleep. Soon I'd be leaving, and I wanted to take one last look at the house we'd lived in for 5 years. Here, we shared many laughs, dreamed of countless futures, and now, nothing remained. That day was our 5th wedding anniversary, but I was the only one in the house, sitting alone until dawn. I sat at the table, carefully set for a meal, raised my glass to her across the empty room and said, goodbye, the woman I once loved with all my life. After that, I took off my ring and got into the wedding car. At that moment, Lee Mui's car brushed past me. Inside, her face looked terrifyingly pale. When the male secretary carried her out, she bent over and suddenly vomited blood. Someone nearby whispered, is she terminally ill? She looks awful. The secretary's face changed. Sister, I have some business. You go ahead. He left her lying on the ground alone. Her eyes were shocked and disappointed. Luckily, someone called an ambulance. When the doctor arrived, he seriously told her her kidneys were failing. How can this be? During her struggle, Lee Mui's bag fell and a bottle of medicine rolled out. It was the life-saving pills I had prepared for her in advance. The doctor exclaimed, luckily you had this ready, or it could have been fatal. Your kidneys are weak. This is post-transplant medication, imported. Hard to get. Whoever prepared this medicine really cared about you. She seemed to realize something and paused. Could it be him? The doctor also told her that the person who gave her the kidney was most likely him. No way. Her face went pale. She picked up her phone to verify. When she got the answer, her eyes reddened immediately. How could this be? The doctor said, these days, few are willing to donate kidneys. Many people on the waiting list are just waiting to die. I can only say he truly loves you. Tears welled up, and she hurriedly dialed my number. Husband, where are you? I want to see you. I want to see you now. We will never see each other again. Why? She cried out loudly. I said, because I'm getting married. No way. How can you marry someone else? I told her, the documents you signed last night included a divorce agreement. She frantically searched her bag, pulling out the papers, stunned. How come I didn't know? Because you were busy flirting with him and didn't notice. I said, my wife is urging me to hang up. Don't call me anymore. I don't want her to misunderstand. Lee Mui lowered her head, tears streaming down as she stared at the divorce papers. No, it can't be. She looked up and saw my wedding car. Despite her weak condition, she desperately chased after it. Husband, don't go. She stumbled, fell heavily, bleeding all over. She cried with tear-streaked cheeks, begging me to stop. I said, no, that was my past. I didn't want to look back. Han Ruoxue held my hand. I turned and smiled at her. That day, we registered our marriage. She had trouble walking and didn't want a big ceremony. We just had a simple wedding and exchanged rings. That was enough. Before, when I knew the arranged marriage partner was her, I was very reluctant, loudly telling my parents I didn't want to marry a disabled person. But now, the only person who has never left me is her. I kissed her head, and at that moment, I officially said goodbye to the past. Life after marriage was simple and warm. I accompanied her through rehabilitation. Seeing her suffer yet persevere, I couldn't bear it. I told her not to push herself so hard. I wouldn't care if she could stand up or not. Maybe I once would have, but now I'm not that shallow person anymore. True love is what matters most. Han Ruoxue smiled. Don't worry about me. You frowned at the wedding. You probably aren't fully recovered. Why don't you go see a doctor too? I was touched, thinking of how Lee Mui had ignored my pain. Han Ruoxue was so much more considerate. I didn't want to refuse her kindness, so I said, okay, I'll go. I saw the doctor, and just as I was about to have a checkup, I saw someone in the hallway. Lee Mui was on an 4-drip, holding the bottle, constantly calling Su Ruyan. She called many times without success. When she finally got through, Su Ruyan said, sister, I'm really busy here. I'll call you back later. Lee Mui was too weak to speak, her face pale against the wall, but her inattentiveness caused blood flow to return to her hand suddenly. She panicked and accidentally pulled out the 4 line. Disheveled and distraught, she broke down crying. A nurse quickly came to help and asked why she had no family or guardian to care for her. Where's the man who was with you during your surgery? Lee Mui's eyes reddened as she awkwardly said, he had something come up and couldn't come. The nurse sighed. What a pity. I saw him waiting for you outside after your last surgery. He even brought you flowers. We all noticed how he cared for you during rounds. Lee Mui lowered her head and cried. Back then, when she was ill, I was even more worried than her. I turned down all my work to be with her, personally taking care of everything. Because she was a germophobe, she refused to let anyone else help. I did all the dressing changes myself. When she cried during one dressing change because of the foul discharge, she looked at me with tears and said she would be good to me for life. Now I realize that good only lasted 5 years. She was stunned, about to say something when Su Ruyan called. Hope lit up in Lee Mui's eyes, but Su Ruyan said, Sister, I just twisted my ankle. I really can't come. Take care of yourself. Her disappointment was obvious, and she murmured, but my surgery is coming up, and I need a guardian to sign. Her tone was almost pleading, but it didn't move Su Ruyan. I really can't come. I can help you get a nurse instead. They can take care of you just as well. The nurse nearby said, Are you pretending to be dumb or really dumb? He doesn't want to come. It's just an excuse. Can't you see that? How could she not see? She, so shrewd in business, could read a glance and know its meaning. She just didn't want to believe the person she had pampered all these years would abandon her in her greatest time of need. I've seen this happen many times. People only know who truly cares when they fall ill. You're so smart. How could you not understand? Lee Mui lowered her head, silent for a very long time. I didn't go in with her, but judging by her back, I guessed she was quietly wiping her tears. Soon the doctor came. He handed her a thick stack of reports, telling her her health was poor and that she needed surgery soon, kidney failure. How can this be? I'm only 30. Her physiological age was young, but she'd used all kinds of strange methods to try to get the male secretary, taking beauty pills recklessly, injecting strange substances. Her kidneys, already weak, had been worn down over the years. The doctor said her irregular lifestyle made things worse. The nurse asked in confusion, but the man who accompanied her before was very disciplined. That man wasn't me, it was Su Ruyan. Since he arrived, Li Mui thought I was old-fashioned and boring. Can't you live like young people? Stop talking about health preservation, I'm only this old. That's something old folks say. She always looked down on me for my age. The male secretary took her to eat fried food, which she liked, unaware her stomach couldn't handle greasy food. I warned her, but she said I was old and didn't understand young people's craziness. He took her to ride the Ferris wheel. I warned her not to go. After surgery, she wasn't supposed to do such intense exercise. Sure enough, her wound split open, causing terrible pain and a fever that night. If she hadn't had timely surgery, she might have died. But after waking up, she was still stubborn. If the secretary said, "Sister, I want to go, come with me," she'd ignore the doctor's advice and discharge herself, climbing mountains to watch stars with him at night. How could her body handle that? She ended up with thick medical reports in the doctor's hands. Looking at the long list of red marks, she was stunned, then burst into tears. She called me, asking why I hadn't told her, why I hadn't let her know she'd had a transplant. Why? Did she still have feelings for me? Could she listen to me now? Whenever I spoke, she'd look at me with impatience, brushing me off. Enough, you're just like an old lady nagging. Time and again, I stopped trying. Besides, she's so strong-willed, how would she accept knowing she had a new kidney? So before surgery, I talked to the doctor and asked him to keep it a secret, just tell her it was a minor appendix operation. She believed it and cared nothing for her body, chasing after the secretary and the so-called youthfulness. I watched her destroy her health with my own eyes, and it broke my heart. But now, I've let go. I suppose the doctor has told her by now. She's in kidney failure, and the outlook is not good. I already donated one kidney to her. Now there's nothing I can do, she's on her own. Also, since she's given all her love to him, she shouldn't call me anymore. When I drafted the divorce agreement, I called the company finance department to ask about transferring my houses and stocks to her to close the chapter on our 5-year marriage. But finance told me she'd already secretly transferred all her assets to the male secretary. At that moment, I suddenly laughed with tears in my eyes. It also completely strengthened my resolve to leave. After hanging up, I took the reports and went to the clinic the doctor recommended to properly treat my illness. I underwent the transplant, nurtured my body back to health, regained my status, and inherited part of the family business. It was 3 months later when I returned to the country. Someone suggested throwing me a welcome banquet. Although I wasn't fond of it, since these people would be future business contacts, I couldn't refuse. On that day, I was about to leave when, unexpectedly, I ran into her again. The woman who once dominated the business world now wore a tight, sexy dress. She was crouching down, serving customers with a forced smile. The men's eyes wandered over her body. She knew it all but pretended not to notice. Our marriage was a secret, so few knew our relationship. Those men glanced at me, then back at her for a few seconds, then joked, "That woman? Don't be fooled by her pitiful appearance. She's only getting what she deserves." I heard she was keeping a male secretary behind her husband's back, only to be betrayed and lose everything, even herself. I asked, "What do you mean by losing herself?" A friend said, she was so infatuated with that secretary that she guaranteed many company loans for him. He just walked away, and the debt collectors don't care. They keep pestering her day and night. She's nearly gone crazy. Yeah, that's why she sold off the company early and is now working odd jobs to pay off debts. It's pitiful. She was once a CEO, and now look at her. What was even more pitiful was how the very men she despised used filthy language to proposition her. Working so hard for so little money? Sleep with me for one night and I'll give you 10,000 yuan. How about it? She trembled with anger, trying to resist, but was forcibly pulled back. Struggling, she turned and saw me, frozen in place. Ji Han, she cried tears of joy and threw herself into my arms. The excitement of seeing me after so long and the safety she felt because she knew as long as I was here, no one would bully her. But that was the past. I coldly pushed her away. Miss, who are you? She was shocked. It's me. Don't you recognize me? Everyone laughed, thinking she was crazy. That's the heir of the Gu family. Why would he know you? Li Mui was stunned. What? No way. She always thought I was just a freeloader living off her, but little did she know I gave up everything to be with her. Over the years, I secretly helped her, finding sponsors, managing the company, introducing big clients. Without me, she never could have taken the company public in just a few years. She suddenly understood. So it was you? Yes. After the divorce, I withdrew my investments. Within months, the company collapsed. She couldn't save it and ended up like this. She cried. Why? Because you once told me your dream was to be a big boss. Back then, I still loved me. So even after being cut off by my parents, I begged them for forgiveness. I love someone and want to support her with my own strength. When I showed my parents Li Mui's photo, experienced as they were, they just glanced and said, "You'll regret this someday." I didn't believe it. Back then, I swore we'd grow old together. But less than 5 years later, those words sounded ridiculous. I pushed her away and entered the private room. She was dragged away by those men and forced to drink. Li Mui stood dazed, tears in her eyes. I didn't even want to look at her. The woman who once made me ache just by frowning now stirred no feelings in me. We sat and chatted casually. Suddenly, someone asked me, "I remember you once said you loved someone so much that you gave up everything for her. What about now?" I answered calmly, as if speaking about someone else. "I don't love her anymore." Just then, I heard the sound of a glass dropping outside, then cries of her being slapped and taken away. The noise made me gasp and feel short of breath. "Are you all right?" Everyone was scared. Li Mui rushed in despite being stopped. She saw me convulsing on the ground and panicked. "What happened?" My friend said, "She hurt him before, gave him some bad injection stuff. It's a miracle he's still alive. His lips look purple. We need to get him to a hospital." They lifted me and carried me to an ambulance. Li Mui staggered after, trying to help, but Han Ruoxue stopped her. "I'm his wife now. He doesn't need you here." Han Ruoxue, despite her leg problems, used medical equipment skillfully to help the doctors resuscitate me. She gave all my data, medical records, and recent condition without missing a detail. Li Mui just stood by, stunned, tears falling as the ambulance drove away. Maybe then she realized she never truly loved me, and now she no longer had the right to stand by my side or care for me. I woke up, out of danger, but the doctor warned that complications would follow me for life and I must be careful. I agreed and rested in the hospital for several days. Friends visited and told me about Li Mui's situation. After that day, they guessed our relationship. They said Li Mui stood crying where I left and refused to leave. She quit her bar job and tried to find my whereabouts. "Did you know she's the woman who abandoned you and ruined you? We should have shown her a lesson." I said, "No need. Do you still think about her?" I shook my head. "To me, she's a stranger now. I feel nothing for her anymore. Besides, I have a wife now and only want to live well with her." Just then, I heard a noise outside. Li Mui was coming. Her eyes were red as she walked step by step toward me. Friends kindly gave us space, but it was unnecessary. Some things were already decided, irreparable, like our dead marriage. No, it's not dead." She tightly held my hand, tears in her eyes. "We can go back to how it was before." I too dreamed of walking with her forever. I told her, that night. I hesitated, struggled over whether to divorce. "After all, I truly loved you. But then I found the miscarriage report in your drawer, and I lost all hope." She not only didn't love me, she didn't want to keep my child. "Now you talk about before, don't you think it's ridiculous?" Li Mui cried. shaking her head. No, we can go back to before, just like before. She clung to me, revealing the sexy dress beneath. That scene reminded me of 3 years ago. She wore a similar dress, trying to seduce me. Back then, we'd been cold to each other for a while. I thought she wanted to reconcile, but the next day, I saw this search history on her phone. How to make up with husband after cheating. The top answer said, "This one's easy, use your body." At that moment, my heart turned cold. Now she wanted to try the same trick. Impossible. I pushed her away. I have a wife now. Also, don't demean yourself by chasing a married man. Her face flushed red, tears streaming down, embarrassed. I covered her with a coat and told her to leave. Lee Mui broke down, begging me not to abandon her, saying she couldn't live without me. Can we make up? Like nothing happened. I said firmly, no. Didn't I wait for you to come back? When you were flirting with your secretary, I asked you to send him away. Did you? No. You even let him move into my office. When you kissed him, I said, with him, not me. But did you stop? She only pretended to care, saying she loved only me and it was just a fling with him. But that fling was taken seriously. They even went to a hotel. I told her I was outside the door, called you many times. I kept telling myself, if you come down, I'd pretend nothing happened. If you come down. But she said she was busy and to talk tomorrow. I heard their flirtatious breaths after the call ended. My heart was bleeding. No, I was just confused. Lee Mui knelt before me, begging for forgiveness. Seeing her crying like a broken flower, I felt nothing. I told her I was shocked by her cruelty, that she sold me out to those women for money. Do you know why my body still hasn't healed? I pulled open my shirt, showing scars on my chest and hidden areas. Her eyes reddened instantly. I told her those rich women seemed refined but had secret fetishes, liking to do dangerous things while I was unconscious. She knew but chose not to care because she saw me as just a money-making tool. No, I really didn't know. I thought. She reached out to touch my scars but I refused. Don't touch. I hate being dirty. I stood and left. At that moment, Han Ruoxue arrived, saw Lee Mui in the ward, and understood everything. Let's go abroad. I smiled and nodded. Okay, let's do that. We left that day. 5 years later, we returned. Han Ruoxue's leg had improved and she could stand. We had a lovely daughter, mischievous but the true healing I needed. Holding my daughter's hand, we walked out of the airport. She wanted ice cream, so I pinched her nose and said, "Wait for me." As I stood up, I saw Lee Mui not far away. She had aged and looked worn out. Friends told me she was drowning in debt, unable to afford kidney treatment, and living a hard life. I heard debt collectors once forced her onto a rooftop. I just took it as a story. Now she saw me and my daughter, tears filling her eyes. That's. My daughter nodded repeatedly, eyes full of envy. Really nice, really nice. I said, you could have had this life once, but you gave up. She understood my hint, her face turning pale as regretful tears fell. Then she turned and staggered away. My daughter asked, "Daddy, who was that?" "Nothing, just someone unimportant. Let's buy Mommy an ice cream." I smiled, holding my daughter's hand, looking up at Han Ruoxue walking towards us. Together, we stepped into our future.